Is that better for you?
Yo, Adrian!
Yo.
Have you seen that? I haven't seen that.
I was trying to do like a Arnold Schwarzenegger impression of it.
Well, welcome to the Somewhat Original Podcast. We are
Yeah.
back
For
for
another
our
episode, boy.
for another episode, or for our sequel.
Sequel to which episode? Our 19th sequel to an episode? Our 20th?
I think it's our 20th.
Our 20th? So that would make it the 19th sequel.
The 19th sequel, yes.
The 19th sequel to the beginning, our first episode.
Yep.
Are you as
Exactly.
confused as we are?
Yes.
Yes. Let's get into it.
Well, and that's actually what we're going to be talking about. Those kind of sequels in movies that we're just kind of confused. Like, what the heck? And pretty much what is a good sequel and what's a bad sequel. Kind of what makes things good or bad. I don't know.
So what's new with you, Tanner?
Nothing much. Just,
Tanner has an announcement to make.
my name's Tanner. Yeah.
Sick. There it is.
No, my announcement is actually my wife is pregnant.
Whoa!
And no, she's due in November 19th. We'll see if that actually happens. We don't know. We don't know the gender just yet, but
And do you care which gender it is?
As long as it's a healthy baby, I'm okay with it.
What if it wasn't a human being?
Then I'd be a little scared.
Just this alien, green alien pops out.
Like in Men in Black. I don't know if you've seen the first one.
I have not.
They
no.
help deliver a baby on the side of a freeway.
Hmm.
And it's an alien baby with tentacles and stuff.
Oh, awkward.
It was
Anyway,
nasty.
yeah, it's a very happy thing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're pretty excited.
You're gonna be a real adult now.
Yeah, I mean, I try to act. I don't know if I could even consider that because I still don't even act like an adult. So
That's okay.
yeah, I mean,
So
I'm
is
just
that what classifies as a real adult? Is
Yeah.
when you have a child?
Well, you have a job, a wife, and a child. That's like peak adult. And like the most peak adult is when you start caring about stupid stuff.
Oh.
I can't think of an example, but like
your lawn.
yeah, or like or like what color your labels are on your water bottles or something.
Oh, that kind
You
of
have
stuff.
like a preference for that or something like that.
Oh well, I mean, if you ask my wife, I think she'd still say I act like a child. So
I think if you asked anyone's wife, they would.
I was gonna say my wife would say the same thing.
yeah. What's new with you guys?
Daniel,
Nada.
nothing.
There's really nothing happening in my life other than life. That was
Good
not.
movie.
I did not mean to make it sound so deep, but that's how it is.
Life, nice. I like it.
I watched the Predator movies for the first time the other week.
You mean Alien?
Yeah, that one. And yeah.
You guys did not give me any slack for
What a
not
callback!
knowing the difference.
Well, they're significantly different. Now you got me confused. Predator.
Is an alien.
Yeah, it is an alien. You got me there.
Got him.
Yeah, you got me there. But I thought so. I just wanted to watch it because we have like the Stars subscription right now.
Uh-huh.
So it was about to like end. So I was like, I want to see what the hype's about. And
Yeah.
at first I thought, oh, this is the most 80s movie I've ever seen because it was just like guns, bullets, gore, cursing,
Mm-hmm.
and like by the time I got to like the middle to the end of the movie, I thought it was freaking awesome. And I didn't think I would, because I feel like I'm kind of hard to please with movies. But
Interesting.
yeah, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is just freaking scary in that. I mean, he's not like, he's
Yeah.
just a huge dude.
Yeah.
And like
I mean-
seeing the Predator and him, like they're kind of both just as strong, I feel like. So it's like two opposing forces,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. The sequel is not as good though, speaking of sequels.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, so I mean, talking
That's-
about sequels.
that's a sequel that's
What
not
a
that good.
transition.
To better explain what we're talking about today is what makes a good sequel. I'm pretty sure we were all
Like,
confused from
If
before.
they have the chipmunks in it, that's a good squeakquel.
Oh, jeez, I didn't know that was considered
Yeah.
a good squeakquel.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But so we're just going to be talking about those and just some different movies we may have liked that made it a good sequel, but then also some that weren't as good.
Yeah. So what do you think makes a good sequel? I have my own thoughts, but what do you guys think?
I personally think it's the storyline. You just definitely have to have a good story. I always feel like with like sequels, they always try to think, okay, so we have the idea of what was the first movie, but then they just try to keep that idea
Yeah.
too long.
They
but
like
they don't-
copy and paste the first movie onto like just that movie with the two.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dumb.
And so a lot of the time it's kind of similar humor or similar script and everything, and then it just doesn't work out.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you have to add some new stuff, but also keep what made the original good. I just have a couple thoughts here on written down. So yeah, it like improves on the original. Usually, what makes it better is it has higher stakes. It also deepens the lore of the place. So like for Star Wars, for example, doesn't overcapitalize on what made the first one good, like what you said. Like doesn't just recycle the same old jokes or something. It expands the Earth it's set in, so it makes it more interesting to you, and it also endears you to new characters, and helps you keep your love for the old ones.
Yeah.
What do you think, Daniel?
For me, I feel like all that is very important, and if I had to add anything to it, it might sound cliche, but I feel like what really helps to make a good sequel is love. But like love and passion. I mean,
What do you mean, like in the story, or do you mean like the writing? They put love into it.
love and work and thought into the writing itself.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like a lot of sequels unfortunately fall flat because it's either the studios just want to make a quick buck out of it. They don't invest as much as they did beforehand.
Yeah.
And so the writing, the characters, everything kind of, takes a fall for it, and we end up with like sequels that kind of suck or that go straight to DVD or what have you.
Like Inspector Gadget 2.
Yeah.
That went straight
Was
to
that
DVD.
straight to DVD? Oh, that's
I did
interesting.
not know
I don't
that.
know that.
I remember that vividly for some reason.
But like most of the Disney like straight to video as well. Like a lot of the sequels like to many movies you probably wouldn't even know had a sequel were like not even heard of, There wasn't even a market for it. But yeah, like a lot of like compassion, a lot of thought needs to be put into the writing, I think, to make a good sequel.
Because when you come out of a crappy sequel, you kind of get the feeling that it didn't actually like matter. I don't know how to word that, but like the characters didn't feel like how they did in the original.
Right.
So they feel like different characters.
Like it felt like
completely.
a more of a cash grab for the studios than, oh, we want to continue the story for the story's sake, which is, unfortunately is what a lot of studios do, because obviously that's what their whole job is about, is to make more money.
Yeah.
And, us as the audience has to suffer because of that. But, that's just how it is sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's go on like with what movies we thought were like really bad sequels,
I have some.
and that we suggest never ever watching unless you want to make fun of them.
Yeah. So
Yeah, go for it, Drake.
So Did you guys see Split by chance?
Split. Is
That yeah.
It's the M. Night Shyamalan thing.
Oh yeah.
The guy with like the superpowers or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
The sequel to it came out like last year or something called Glass. And
Which I still needed to see, but I heard
it is
things.
very bad. They basically just like ruined anything that they set up in Split, and I did not care for it. Jumanji 2, I didn't really care for that one, and that would be.
Are you talking about like the one, like the first movie with The Rock, or
No.
is it like the second?
I actually liked that one a lot.
Okay.
But the second one, we went to see that in theaters, and we didn't really care for it. It was just like what we were saying before, like it just did exactly what the first one did without really improving on it.
Right. Okay.
Iron Man 2, that was one of the saddest sequels I ever saw, because I was so hyped from Iron Man. Like, Iron Man was the movie that made me want to read comic books.
Yeah.
And I got super excited for it. And then Iron Man 2 came out, and I was like, wow, this
that's
not
it?
good. Yeah. And then a controversial one here. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I thought was absolute trash.
Ouch.
Dang.
It's
Shots fired.
It's like what you were saying though, Tanner, is that they just tried to do what they did in the beginning, and instead of like improving the characters, they were just like, well, what's the best part? Okay. Drax laughs at dumb jokes. Sounds good. Let's throw some pee-pee poo-poo jokes in there. Okay, great. It's not good.
I will have to agree with you on that one though. Like, it's
mean,
not a very popular opinion,
yeah.
but I'm not a big fan.
People love that movie, and I do not get it.
I do like Yondu's progression.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
I agree with that. That's like the redeeming part of that movie, like the only reason to watch it. But everything else, there's no, what's the word? There's no
progression.
Hold on, you're gonna have to cut this out there, buddy. There's no urgency to the story, because they're just like sitting around the whole movie, and you're like, okay, let's go. And the movie finally reveals the plot when it's almost done. When he's like, yeah, too bad I had to kill your mom. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, and then I'll just rattle these ones off real quick. So Jurassic Park: The Lost World, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, Thor: The Dark World,
Yes.
Yeah.
Independence Day 2,
Yeah.
Frozen 2.
I haven't even seen that.
I've
one.
never seen that either.
It's not good. And then
I've heard people say it's better than the first one.
really, I didn't care for it.
Did you like the first one?
I did.
Okay.
Like, I wasn't like obsessed with it, but it was still good. And the
You
music.
didn't listen to Let It Go like
No,
300 times?
No. And luckily, I don't have any children. But, gosh, the music just wasn't as catchy. The story was boring.
Yeah.
And here we go, the worst sequel of all time. Are you ready for it? All of you are gonna say, "Oh!" On 3, 1, 2, 3. Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
You right?
I mean, we've already talked about that, and everyone should know, all of our listeners should know. If not, go back and listen to that episode. And I
That
believe
was like one of the first, I think.
Yeah,
it was
it's pretty soon.
Super Bat versus Man Man.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the episode name. Which, so yeah, that movie sucks. I hate that movie.
It was a pretty bad movie, and I made you sit through it the whole
Oh
time.
yeah. But what do you think are bad ones?
Me?
Yeah.
So I can like think off of my head, like, but now that I was looking online for different ones, and a couple that I came to mind was Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Number 2.
The number 2. Number 1 actually was pretty good.
He has that like weird girlfriend in the second one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I know Kevin James. He's a pretty funny guy. He's actually been doing some random stuff on his YouTube page. And
Oh, really?
He's like
Yeah, he showed me it before you came over. It's pretty funny.
during like some quarantine stuff, and he just like does different things. He acts like he's a sound guy for a whole bunch of different movies and stuff.
It's
and
kind of dumb, but it's
That's
good.
sweet.
it's dumb but
Sweet.
funny at the same time. Another one, Wayne's World 2.
I don't think
Oh.
I've ever seen the second one. I've only seen the first.
Like, so I mean, it's just like Wayne's World, with all those kind of similar jokes and everything, but
Yeah.
then there's not really any progression or anything like that. It's just
the same movie.
pretty much
copy-paste.
kind of similar movie.
I hate when they do that.
Another one which I think I was mentioning it last time and you guys never heard of it was Speed.
Yeah.
So
Cruise Control.
Yeah, so the second one's Cruise Control.
Jeez.
But the first one, it's this guy.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Oh, really?
See, you know this stuff.
I've seen the first one.
Oh, you have seen the first
I
one?
haven't seen the second one.
Okay, so you know the kind of the premise where
On the bus.
he's on a bus, and the bus after it
It's
gets
really tense. It's cool.
My favorite thing is to quote Homer Simpson. He says that he saw a movie the other day, and it was about this guy who went on a bus, and after it went on this bus and it went past a certain speed, he couldn't go lower than that speed, and if he went lower than that speed, then the bus would explode. And he's like, I think that was called the bus that couldn't slow down. But it was a similar kind of thing, but I believe it was like on a cruise ship.
Oh, okay.
And it sucked. And then I was actually talking to my dad about this, and he said some of the worst ones too was Jaws had a sequel called Jaws:
yeah.
The Revenge.
I refuse to
Yeah,
watch the
yeah,
Jaws
yeah.
movies because I'm afraid of sharks and I'm afraid of animatronics.
Well,
So
well,
it's
this
two things
You're
in
an
one.
absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
this one would just be complete outrageous. Like if you ever watched it, pretty much the main character was in one part of one side of the country on the coast, and then flew to a different part, like a different side of the country, and then the shark followed her there.
Wow.
What the heck?
Exactly. How? We have
What?
no clue. Just a little fact about it. It got 3 out of 10 on IMDb, so it's that good.
Yeah.
And then Gremlins 2. Again, just kind of like a similar
Gremlins
thing.
are horrifying though.
Yeah, I never seen it, but he was telling me
haven't?
that. No.
Oh, oof, you're lucky.
Well, I've seen Gremlins. I haven't seen Gremlins 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen the second one either.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, how have you not seen Gremlins?
And then the last one is A Christmas Story 2.
There's a second one?
There is a second one. It came out in
It's
2000.
not the same characters though.
No,
is it?
it's not.
Okay.
It came out
Oh.
in 2012,
Wow.
and it sucked. Again, it was a 3.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oofies.
Dang.
So
Yikes.
those are mine.
What about you, Dan?
Well, my list isn't as big as yours, but I'll go forward with my list. My first one is, I mentioned this when we were discussing this topic, but Shrek 3 and Shrek 4. Those sequels were bad, in my
Really?
opinion. Yeah, I
I-
loved the first Shrek, and the second Shrek I thought was better than the first. But then, kind of like what we were talking about, I feel like they were just like capitalizing on the Shrek franchise, and they're like, let's
Yeah.
make more.
It was pretty popular for a
Right,
kids
yeah,
movie.
it was huge. But like Shrek 3 and Shrek 4 just did not do it for me. And by the fourth one I was like, why am I watching this?
That's
movie?
what happens. I was just thinking, like, with sequels, sometimes it can either make or break it. Like, either after you see the sequel, you're like, all right, I'm ready for the next one, if they do a next one or something.
Right.
But with a bad one, you're like, I think I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna see these again. It
Well,
kind of
yeah.
and it can ruin the first one for
Exactly,
you sometimes. It sucks.
Yeah, so that one I definitely will have to put on my list. The second one was Cars 2.
Oh,
Yeah. That
too
one
many
was
cars in that one or
Too-
something.
too many cars. Well, I mean, that's like arguably, well, I don't even think it's arguably, but I think it's like the worst Pixar movie that Disney's ever put out.
Really?
Yeah. That and Brave. I hate Brave, but Brave didn't have a sequel, so here
Pretty
we are.
brave of you to say.
Yeah. But yeah, Cars 2, it was just like, and I saw Cars 3 and that wasn't too bad, so that's why I didn't add it to the list.
What's the issue with Cars 2? I'm just
Cars 2
curious.
was just like, it was dumb. Like, it was like, I mean, the first Cars wasn't a huge hit with like with audiences, but with the second Cars, it was like more, it was just dumbed down, and there was no plot. It was just stupid. It was mostly focused on Mater, which was like supposed to be like a secondary character,
Yeah.
but they made him like kind of the main guy. And like sometimes like the problem with that sort of stuff is that like they like kind of what you were saying. They'll reuse the same jokes, or
Yeah.
like it gets too annoying, and you're like, all right, this guy isn't funny anymore.
Well, not only that, it's like you don't care as much about Mater as the other guy.
Exactly.
So it's like
Yeah.
I came to the sequel to see,
Lightning McQueen.
yeah,
Wow.
red guy car.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow. And I would say like this movie kind of falls under that too, but like Minions, I don't know if that counts as a sequel or like a spin-off.
I guess it's a spin-off sequel.
I guess that's technically a
it'll-
spin-off, so I won't mention that.
That'll pass.
Okay.
No, I mean, you can talk about that
Okay.
one. It's basically a sequel.
Although
right?
I liked Minions, so
Oh, sorry.
but I will battle you on this one.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Go for it.
I-
Tell me what you think.
I have
just
no
don't-
dog in this fight.
I didn't think Minions was that great of a movie. I didn't think the Minions needed a movie, so it just wasn't something that needed to be created.
Although I consider it more of actually a prequel than a sequel. 'Cause
Yeah, technically it
It
is.
is more about what they did. And then there's a Gru one, or I think
Was
it's
there?
coming out. I can't remember. Now I have to look it up.
I
He's
feel like you're right.
younger or
I feel
something,
like you're
right?
right.
Yeah, when he was younger.
Yeah.
I've seen previews for it for some reason.
Yeah.
What
But
else?
I like the Despicable Me ones, but
Mm.
I can see where you're coming from though.
Yeah.
They do some similar jokes and
Yeah.
things like it.
Yeah. What else is?
Indiana Jones 4.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
I like every time I think bad sequels, that's the first thing that comes in my mind. is
Yeah, it's
Indiana
That
weird.
one
Jones
was. I remember seeing that in theaters, and I
It's
thought 'cause-
confusing.
Well, it was actually the first Indiana Jones I ever seen, and it sucked.
Oh,
really?
really?
Yeah, I
That
didn't.
sucks for you.
Yeah.
No.
It was really bad.
So have you seen the other like?
I've
Indiana
seen
Jones?
parts.
Okay.
I guess I've seen the first one
They're
now.
classics.
Yeah,
I feel
they're
like
pretty
they're
good.
kind of forgotten though. Like people don't really talk about
It's not very
Indiana Jones as much, but
very common now. but yeah.
I hated that one because all of the other movies, it was like something mystical, like the Holy
Or like
Grail,
religious. Sort
yeah,
of,
or something like that, and it has some mystical powers or something.
Yeah.
But then that one's like, yeah, aliens. Like
What?
that doesn't fit in Indiana Jones.
No, it does
I
not.
literally remember while I was in the theater watching it, and like it was slowly starting to be
Yeah.
revealed what was going on, and as soon as they like figured out it was aliens, I was like, aliens?
Yeah,
Like as soon as they said aliens, I'm like, aliens?
it's out
Really?
of character. And then
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf is annoying in that. And then when
Oh,
he's
yeah.
about to pick up Indiana Jones's hat, you're like, no, thanks.
Yeah, right. And then he like
Harrison Ford, grab it.
he does, and he's like, nope. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But what was funny that I remember too was that during that time when that movie had come out, like I think Sony was trying to find a new Spider-Man. Like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man hadn't come
yeah.
out at that time. So if you remember the scene where Shia LaBeouf is like swinging
Yeah.
from the vines, like Shia LaBeouf was actually being considered as Spider-Man at
God.
that
Oh,
time.
jeez.
That's weird.
And so I like remember when I watched that movie, I rolled my eyes so big. So I'm like, I do not want this guy to be Spider-Man.
yeah.
Nope.
That's another crappy sequel too. Is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
That one's not good.
You like that?
I actually liked it.
You do?
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's weird. The only part I like is when Gwen dies because it's like true to the comics, but otherwise it's not good.
It's
and
not that
if
great.
if you're talking about Amazing Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man like is a sequel technically, like
Mhm.
you know, reboot type thing, and
Right.
that sucks too.
Yeah.
But when it came out, I was excited to see it and I liked it because you know, Spider-Man's my guy. I didn't
Yeah.
have any other Spider-Man stuff
Yeah.
at the time.
Just quickly, two things.
Are you done?
No, I still have a couple.
But just real quick, two things. Minions: The Rise of Gru is coming out in 2021,
Oh man,
so you'll be ready for that.
they just can't let Gru
It's-
die.
It is
They
a
just
sequel.
can't.
It's a sequel to Minions.
Illumination has minions, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
they can't make anything else.
Well,
Yep.
the thing is, kids will watch anything, so you could
It's
just
true.
plop your kid in front of that, and they'll be fine.
And Tanner, and then we'll be good.
Yeah, and
That's true.
But then the other thing, every time anyone mentions Shia LaBeouf, I think of that.
Yeah,
That
that song.
music video or whatever of Shia LaBeouf. So
Sheila Boof.
Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, then real quick, I'll finish my list. And so, Son of the Mask. I don't know if you guys watched that movie.
I've seen The Mask.
The Mask, yeah. So that was like
But, yeah.
the classic Jim Carrey movie, The Mask, and then they made a sequel, which was awful, terrible. Don't ever see it. And
That's what I've
then
heard.
my last thing will probably make a lot of people mad as well is the entire Star Wars sequel trilogy. hated those movies.
Okay.
I think I've voiced it before, but
So sequel trilogy. So like the first three then,
seven.
yes.
Seven,
or
eight,
7,
nine.
8, 9. No, the
Sorry, yeah, 7, 8, 9.
He's
Okay.
not talking prequels.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sequel
prequels and originals, I love, but sequels,
I think maybe
once,
the sequel.
once Disney took over.
yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe the sequel trilogy will get its own following at some point, but yeah, I feel like it has some good and some bad.
Yeah, obviously it's not like awful movies, like,
Yeah.
but I think it was basically like Disney didn't have a for sure plan of what was
Yeah.
going on.
You get the feeling that
And-
they didn't have it planned out like
No,
the Marvel
not at
movies
all.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they just retconned everything at the end, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel legit, doesn't feel right, and it just ends, and you're like, or at least I was like, that wasn't worth it at all.
And it kind of
Mhm.
feels like they're trying to copy the Marvel stuff with a couple of the like how it was a little more jokey than the old ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the last line of it too is like literally a copy from "I am inevitable."
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I'm like,
It was kind of
what?
cringy. It was like I'm all Jedi. I was like, don't say that. That's weird.
So,
It would
like,
have been cooler if like all the other Jedi came back and like fought with her, and
Mhm.
like all the other Sith also fought
yeah.
somehow, like in the Force Ghost world or something.
Which honestly, they actually filmed all that stuff, but
Did
like
they?
because Disney, well, not I shouldn't say Disney, but I should say Lucas Studios, like rehashed a lot of the ideas. They went through so many different endings and like
Interesting.
recycled so many different things. So like I think that was a big part of it, but like they just the higher ups didn't like it.
That makes sense.
So
Huh. I was gonna say, I mean, I just think about like the first or the prequel 3, the 1, 2, 3. I grew up watching those as a kid,
same, yeah.
so those were like my favorite ones, and I still consider some of my favorite ones.
Yeah, me too.
But I think it was just because of being a kid.
Yeah.
So I feel like the kids of this generation that saw
That's
those
what I'm
ones like that
thinking,
are
yeah.
gonna be like, yeah, those ones are amazing.
I just
Right.
Because that's what they grew up with. That's what they saw at first. So,
Right.
I
yeah.
just watched the prequels with my wife for like she had watched it before. I don't think she really was paying attention though. But this time she was like really paying attention and watching them. She said she liked Attack of the Clones and she really liked The Revenge of the Sith,
Wow.
Uh-huh.
but she didn't like
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Menace.
She was like falling asleep and I was like, it was funny because we were watching and she's like, do people like this one? And I was like, it's pretty universally hated.
Yep.
So,
You fall under every single Star Wars fan.
but
out
yeah,
there.
I think people can still like them, like
Sure.
new viewers.
yeah.
But yeah, those are some crapola sequels we got there.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're gonna have more in common with the good ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can already see like Dark Knight is on all of our lists.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, I put my.
So, I mean, I want to mention with Dark Knight, I actually saw it 3 times within the day it came out.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So,
That's dedication.
I mean, actually worked at a movie theater when I was younger, when that actually came out. So I got to see it the night before.
That's cool.
And
Did your brain explode?
This was the first Batman I've ever seen.
Oh
as
really?
well. Yeah.
Dang.
But did
I
your
hadn't seen
brain
it.
explode?
Yeah, it did. And then I got to see it again at my dad's like work party. They saw it like the day of it
Yeah.
that it came out.
That's sweet.
And then my work had another work party, and we saw it the day like that same day.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's an amazing movie, and
It's still one of my very favorites.
Oh,
When
same.
I love it.
when I was growing up, whenever I would be homesick from school, I would watch it. And it started off with like, I would put it in the DVD player, and sometimes the DVD player would just autoplay it, and I would fall asleep. So that one day I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, I love that movie so much. And I feel like it helped that Batman Begins didn't have as great a story.
Mhm.
And
Uh-huh.
they kept the Joker for the sequel.
Yeah,
Because that just made it like 20 times better.
yeah,
And I
I
feel
agree.
like people forget Batman Begins even exists.
Yeah.
Because Dark Knight's so good.
yeah. I
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
didn't know it was a sequel when I was younger.
Oh,
And
wow,
then I
really?
finally found out, like, oh, it was actually the sequel to Batman Begins.
And the coolest part is like, if someone stole the stuff from that movie, they could be Batman. Because
Mhm.
all of it's like, it's all real effects. Like they're not
Mhm.
using CG. I think they use CG in like 2 parts maybe in the whole movie.
hmm
But like the whole time, they're actually doing the stunts and stuff. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
sweet.
that.
And
It's a good movie.
I was gonna say, I think Heath Ledger played a big role in that, because of how good of a role he did. I think that was one of the biggest things that I liked about it.
I don't care what anyone says. He's still the best Joker.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hands down.
No, I totally
Joaquin
agree.
Phoenix did a great job, but
It's
Heath
not the
Ledger,
same.
Yeah.
no, it's not the same.
He
Heath
brings
Ledger
like
did it
some
awesomely.
mysticism to it. Like every time he tells a story about the smile, like it changes, and it kind of makes you think, like, is he just making it up? What is going on with this guy?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm glad we ripped that Band-Aid off first, because I'm pretty sure we all thought that.
Yep.
How about you go first, Daniel?
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of mine that I have. This too is like a very short list, so I'll go through it quick. Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
I thought was a solid sequel.
The stakes are definitely bigger on
stakes
that
are bigger. I feel like it holds up even till today. Like I know it came out like way back when, and that was like when superheroes were still kind of,
not that cool.
not as common. There wasn't
Yeah.
MCU, and it was kind of like a goofy-ish Spider-Man, but it still holds up today, I think.
And better than the third one.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
That
better than
third
the
one
third
is
one.
so
Oh, man.
bad.
I
I'm
love.
having flashbacks right now of him walking down the street.
Angry Toby Maguire.
It's really cringy.
So this one is an interesting one because I personally haven't seen it, but I've heard from like multiple sources that like this is a really good sequel. But Terminator 2,
I want to see the Terminator movies, and I do not own them. I really want to watch them.
yeah. I just heard that was like a very solid sequel. I can't really talk too much about it because I haven't seen it either, but know that it's a really good one. Then of course I had Dark Knight, and then Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
I think was a very solid sequel, especially when I heard that like when George Lucas was making the Star Wars films, he actually like didn't have a solid like plan of how it was going to turn out. Like in the beginning, he actually was so afraid of how A New Hope was going to turn out. Like he was so scared that it wasn't going to do well. Like he wasn't even sure if he was going to go through with it, and he did. And it was amazing. You can see the outcome from it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he took that, made an amazing sequel, and I mean, Return of the Jedi is kind of iffy for me in some parts, but in sequel wise, like I feel like Empire Strikes Back kind of stood above the rest.
Everyone says Empire is their favorite movie of Star Wars. I think New Hope is my favorite, but I think if I had seen Empire Strikes Back in theaters, it would have been a different story.
Right.
Because they add so much about the Jedi. You find out that Darth Vader's his father,
Spoilers.
and it just like
Wait,
fleshes
what?
out the world a little more. I feel like it helps a lot with that, but it doesn't feel like quite as urgent. Even though it doesn't, though, it's still like it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, it's a solid movie.
Like even the stuff with Yoda, we just watched it like a week or two ago.
Oh, sweet.
For the first time in like years, I feel like. But even the stuff that Yoda says, I'm like, wow. There's just some inspirational quotes. I love it.
Yeah, and you just see the progression of Luke too. Like Luke in the beginning of New Hope, he's kind of this like whiny piece of crap kid. Yeah. And like Empire Strikes Back, he still kind of is, but you kind of see him learn. You see him like grow a little bit when he's with Yoda and when he's like
he's more disciplined a little bit.
Yeah. A little bit. Like obviously he goes and like doesn't follow Yoda's like counsel.
Yeah.
He's like, you should stay here and finish your training. Don't worry about your friends. He's like, nah, I'm gonna go. But
he's like, they're fine. Don't worry about it. He's just like, I have to though.
Yeah, exactly. But like, still, you kind of see.
He's like, I may or may not be in love with my sister.
I need to save her now. But yeah, it was a solid movie. But yeah, that's my list.
That's a good one. What about you, Tanner?
I definitely like the Avengers movies like, all together. I think the sequels of them going on.
Those just get better and better as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of a cheat way to get into good sequels, but or for me to talk about good sequels. Yeah. But Avengers, I definitely like those ones a lot.
Yeah.
Also, Harry Potter. Yes. I definitely like the third and fourth one.
Do you like Prisoner of Azkaban?
Yeah, I feel like
I hate that movie.
Oh,
that's the movie that made me not want to watch them anymore.
Wow. Was it because it just was like a
it was so boring.
Shift? Oh,
well, yeah, it was a total shift, and like we've said before, it needs some urgency to make it feel like there's a purpose. And it felt like that movie had no purpose. It was like we were watching an episode of Harry Potter: The Day in the Life. Do.
Granted, like the book is kind of that's kind of a hard.
Well, the book is really good.
Yeah.
Come to find out, but Prisoner of Azkaban. After that, I was like, I cannot care less about these movies.
Huh, interesting.
I mean, the reason why I liked it, I just like how it starts to actually kind of go a little more dark.
Yeah.
Because like it's the first two are just all these like light, bubbly. Oh, we're here in Hogwarts.
I don't
and
know.
doing
They're
all
pretty
that kind
dark. I mean, like
Not,
people getting paralyzed by a giant snake.
I mean, yeah, but
I think the tone. I think what
like
you're
the
saying is
whole
like the
tone
tone
of the
is
movie.
the movie has changed.
yeah, I mean, there is dark stuff going on, but it's like the whole tone just kind of shifts after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
hate that movie. I can't even.
And then number 4 with the Goblet of Fire, I just think it's
That's one of my favorite books
those-
of the Harry Potter ones.
That's one of my favorite books as well, but also a movie. I feel like they did a good job.
They did pretty good with the movie. I feel like because even in the movie, the whole scene with like the dragon, because I feel like that's the best part of that book, and they kind of did it justice in that.
Yeah,
That's when at the time my crush for Emma Watson kind of blossomed because I was like, because I mean in the first few you're like, yeah, she cute, and then you're like, oh, she cute. Like,
I think that's when she's not 2 anymore.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then my last one is, of course, The Land Before Time.
oh wow,
How is that a sequel?
that's a callback.
I'm just kidding. I don't care for them, and they're they just because I'm just saying it because they had so many of them. I don't know if any of you know how many Land Before Time movies
Well, that
they
doesn't
had.
make them
No
good
idea.
sequels. I mean,
They had 14, and they all they're. I was just.
I think I
joking.
watched one Land Before Time movie.
I liked them when I was a kid.
That was it.
Yeah, I liked them when I was a kid too,
Yeah,
but
same.
I was just joking. I don't.
Okay.
I don't care for them. I don't think I think I've seen maybe like 3 or 4 of them. So, but
Huh.
yeah. I was just trying to be funny. So
Ah,
yeah, thanks.
Land Before Time. What a joke.
Wow.
But yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, you ready for this?
Thanks
Go
for
for it,
laughing
Drake.
at my joke.
So, you guys took some of mine.
Oopsie.
You guys probably haven't seen it, but Aliens is one of my one of the best sequels. So there's Alien, the first one with the xenomorphs, not the
Not
predators.
Predator. Okay.
And
I'll remember that.
That's just one alien against the Sigourney Weaver character, and then in Aliens, it's like a whole army of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like gives it more stakes,
Hmm.
and it's a lot more scary. I feel like it's pretty good. I love those movies with a passion. Winter Soldier.
Oh yes,
I forgot about that one.
That
That's
is a good one.
It's a very good sequel. We watched it like not that long ago, and I was like, it still holds up, man. It's so good.
I would say in the MCU, that's like the best sequel movie.
It's like a spy movie, but it's still like stays fresh, even though it's kind of like it's been done.
That
a
like
million
movie
times.
made me like respect Captain America
Yeah.
a whole lot more because like
Yeah.
Avengers, he doesn't do much, and like his own movie was kind of, it was okay, but then like Winter Soldier came out and you're like, whoa, he's actually pretty dope.
He's really cool in that one.
Yeah.
And then X2, the second X-Men
Oh
movie.
yeah. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
They have like so many more X-Men, different powers and stuff. It's
Nightcrawler.
really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love Nightcrawler.
And of course Dark Knight, Empire Strikes Back. Men in Black 2. I watched that movie a lot when I was a kid. That was like the first DVD I ever had, actually.
Nice.
And it's really fun. Like, it's not that it doesn't tread the same ground that the first movie had, but it still
Yeah.
makes it interesting.
Hmm.
And then this is one that my wife and I actually watched not that long ago. Zombieland Double Tap.
Oh, I've been wanting to watch that one.
It's really good.
Huh.
And there was a new character. So like in the promos, there's this like girly girl character in it, and we thought she would be annoying, but she actually adds like some flavor of like the comedy. It's really good. And it actually like after watching that, I was like, wow, that was actually better than the original. Which I
Nice.
didn't. Today, like when you see a sequel, you think it's just gonna be garbage, but I feel like that was one that they actually cared about.
And I've
Like you were saying
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah, yeah.
I've even heard that Bill Murray's in that one too.
He's not. He's
He's
in the
not?
first one.
I swear I heard that he was in that one too.
He's in the first one.
Well, I know he's in the first one, but
You've seen the first one.
yeah,
right?
I have seen the first
I
one.
love that part.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite parts.
He kills him. He's
Yep.
so dumb.
Have you seen Zombieland?
I have not seen, but I've heard of that scene. I think
Oh.
doesn't he like say something about how he regrets being a Garfield or something like that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he does say that.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Oh,
I
man.
forgot that. That's really meta and funny.
Just for your, should we ruin it for the listeners about Zombieland? So in Zombieland, a group of it's like 3 people.
Yeah.
Four.
4, something like that.
So yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. They end up like, places covered with zombies, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And they just went to like Hollywood Hills to find like someone's cool house to be in.
And they find Bill Murray's house. And so they go in there and they're looting. There's no one in. It seems like there's no one in there, but it turns out that Bill Murray's in there, and he comes out yawning like he.
Well, and
like,
he has
sounds like
he
a
has
zombie.
makeup on too.
Oh, that's
and
right.
He's like trying to scare them. So like the first couple people, like they got it and they hung out with him for a couple hours, and they're like, "Let's go scare those people over there." And they are like the other people in their group, and he comes up to them and he immediately shoots them.
Yeah.
It's like so morbid, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So they end up killing Bill Murray. So.
That's a good one. Though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's why I thought I heard that he was in it, but he
Oh,
was like
yeah.
a zombie or something. But I guess not.
they're in the White House in that one.
Oh.
It's pretty funny.
Interesting.
But yeah, in conclusion, sequels sometimes they can be crappy, sometimes they can be very good. Hollywood, make better sequels.
Did you hear that Bill and Ted 3, the trailer
I
just
saw
dropped
that.
today?
Yeah.
Oh.
Speaking of sequels, so hopefully
Did you watch the other ones?
I've watched the first one. I've not seen the second one.
They're basically the same.
Yeah, I figured, but yeah, I
They're
mean the
pretty
first one was
funny.
a solid movie, so I'm
Yeah.
hoping the third one will be solid too.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like Top Gun is a movie that doesn't need a sequel. By the
Oh
way.
yeah.
But here it comes.
Yeah, I know it's happening anyway. But
Yep.
I was like, why?
Because Tom Cruise is still alive and
He
somehow
wants
he's-
to make more money.
Because
Apparently.
Top Gun, I don't like. What else could you say about it?
I never watched the first one, so I don't know
Yeah.
what's it about.
Oh, really?
Flying.
It's all right.
Flying.
I mean, like, yeah,
They're an Air Force.
they fly.
So they're just flying
planes.
differently. I don't know.
Someone dies, you know.
Oh,
And he's
spoilers.
Another bad sequel that's not technically bad. I feel like it is, but
Mhm.
Back to the Future 2, I don't really like.
Really?
It's like the same movie over again, just in a different setting.
Hmm.
So like,
although the third one's really good.
I don't think I've seen that more than once, probably.
Oh, I really
it's the
like
Western
like,
one, right?
Yeah, the whole Western feel of it and everything. So, but yeah, listeners, what do you think? What do you think is the worst sequel, and what do you think is the best sequel? Let us know. And
It's definitely not Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's not the best sequel.
What?
but let us know, and we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, and you can email us at that one email that I can never remember.
The Somewhat OG Podcast or Somewhat Original Podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
One of those. It's on our social media. You can find it there.
You'll figure it out. dude.
Yepers.
Yeah.
We got faith in you. You got this.
And stay
Somewhat original.
What up, famos? It's Drake. Today, here with your daily reminder that Evangelion sucks. If you liked what you heard today, feel free to leave a 5-star review. You can also check us out on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that would be really nice if you could, because we have like 3 subscribers on there, so we need more. Bye. Welcome to the welcome.
Welcome to the welcome pod somewhat. Welcome.
Somewhat welcome you to what? Some.
Can we
Rewind.